Good morning and shalom from a little coffee and a lot of Yehua. We're going to continue our journey in obedience to Yehua, and we're going to see if it's necessary that we as set apart ones or as Nazarim to wear tzitziot or tzitzits. I would like to start off with reading from 1 Samuel 15 verse 22 and 23. And the point we are looking at is obedience. Then Shmuel said, "Does Yehua delight in burnt offerings and slaughter offerings, as in obeying the voice of Yehua? Look, to obey is better than an offering. To heed is better than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as of the sin of divination, and stubbornness as wickedness and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of Yehua, he also reject you as sovereign." Now, to understand this, we just need to look at a little bit at the background. Saul was anointed king of Israel, and Abba told him to go and destroy the Amalekites. And that included all humans, all animals. But Saul decided that not to kill Amalek and to keep the best of the rams and the best of the spoil. And his response was, when Yehua sent Samuel or Shmuel to him with this message, he said, but he did obey, but he kept the best to offer to Yehua. Now, that is where this problem comes in, that we're doing it our way as opposed to Abba's way. And I just want to highlight a few points here. Is in these two verses, Abba's saying that it is better to obey than to bring to him a sacrifice or an offering. And disobedience is as the sin of divination. Stubbornness is as wickedness and idolatry. All the things that Yehua hates. So we really need to understand that whatever we do, it must fall in line with Abba. We have to obey his Torah. And whenever Abba commands anything, we have to do it. So, just a little bit of coffee. And we can get stuck in a lot of Yehua. In my work, I travel quite a lot. And I cannot recall ever, when I was working, that I saw people with tzitzits or tzitziot. I cannot remember if I've seen, and maybe when I've seen, I was not a set apart one to Yehua. I might have been a Christian, and I did not notice. But since coming into truth, I've never saw anybody where I live, where I work, wearing tzitzits. And this is a concern, because Scripture does tell us that we must wear tzitzits. And what that means is that very few people are obeying Abba. And we'll look into this in more detail and to see why we have to wear tzitziot or tzitzits. So what is Yahuwah's will for us? His will is always what is best for us. We often think that we want things a certain way, and we can't understand that, or even imagine that a different way would be a better way. But that is where we are so wrong, because we do not know what is coming. We only know what we have experienced in the past. So let us have a look at Leviticus 20 verse 26. And what I would want you to take note is that when Abba tells us to do something, it's always a command. It's never a request or a suggestion, it's always a command. And here he says in Leviticus 20 verse 26, is, "And you shall be set apart to me. For I, Yehua, am set apart and have separated you from the peoples to be mine." Can you see that Abba's putting us in the same camp as what he is? He is set apart, and the world is down here, and He takes us, His chosen, and sets us apart. Therefore, we shall be, or will be, set apart. There is no other way. And what does it mean to be set apart? To be set apart means to not be of the world, not to walk in the ways of the pagans or of traditions that does not fall in line with Abba's will. It is if you take a white sheet of paper and you put a black dot on it and you hold it up, you can ask anybody and you ask them what do they see. They will not tell you I see a white sheet of paper. They see I see a black dot. The same thing if you take a black sheet of paper and you put a white dot on it. And if you ask somebody what do you see, they don't see a black sheet of paper, they see a white dot. And that is how we are. We are so set apart that we are not part of the rest. But sadly, man will always want to do it their own way. And that is why I use this example of the scriptures that we read from 1 Samuel 15, 22 and 23, where Shaul did it his way, and Abba's response was that it is better to obey than to give him a sacrifice. Because that disobedience is like wickedness, it's like idolatry, it's like the sin of divination. That is how bad it is to disobey Abba's will. Let us see what Yahusha said about this. Yahusha was speaking to the Pharisees and the scribes in Mark 7 verse 6 to 8. He says, "And he answering said to them, Well, did Yeshayahu prophesy concerning your hypocrites, as it has been written, This people respect me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." Can you see this Shaul incident? With his mouth he says he obeyed Abba, but in his heart he did it his own way, not Abba's way. Verse 7, "And in vain do they worship me, teaching the commands of men. Forsaking the command of Elohim, you hold fast the traditions of men." Your own way is not Abba's way. And it's not good enough for Abba. Let's read the following. And it is a command. Listen to the wording, the language that Abba uses. He says, "Make tassels on the four corners of the garment with which you cover yourself." He didn't say, "Will you make?" or "I suggest you make." No, he says, "Make tassels." In Jeremiah 11 verse 3 we read, "And you shall say to them, Thus said Yehua, Elohim of Israel, Cursed is the man who does not obey the words of this covenant." We must understand where Abba is saying in Deuteronomy, make tassels. This is in Moshe, he wrote that down. And that is really important to understand, because the words of Moshe is the words of Yehua. Because Yehua used Moshe to give us this information. And then Abba says, if you disobey, you will be cursed. Can you see the mess the world is in? It's because the world is cursed as a result of disobedience. But, if you truly obey Yehua, listen to the words of Yahusha in Yohanan or John 14:15. "If you love me, you shall guard my commands." There's no question about it. If you love him, you will obey. Isn't that amazing? Well, we're going to see something else about the same statement here. The question is then, do you know Yahuwah? Do you know Messiah? And if you do, he says, you will obey. Listen to this. In 1 John 2 verse 3 to 6. "And by this we know that we know him, if we guard his commands." So first of all, Yahushua said, if you love me, you'll guard my commands. And now it says, if you know him, you will guard his commands. We carry on verse 4. "The one who says, I know him, and does not guard his commands, is a liar, and the truth is not in him." Those are the words of our Heavenly Father. Verse 5. "But whoever guards his word," listen to this, "truly the love of Elohim has been perfected in him. By this we know that we're in him." And then it says, And the one who stays in him ought himself also to walk, even as he walked. We must walk the way Yahusha walked. So, now the question is, did Yahusha wear tzitzits? You see, the sad thing is when you speak to the people out there, their response is that Yahusha died for us. He nailed those things, the Old Testament, those burdens on the cross. Well, it's very sad, because on the contrary, Yahusha did die on the stake for us, which gives us the strength and the power to obey, not to disobey. Abba says in Malaki 3 verse 6, listen to this. For I am Yahweh, I shall not change, and you sons of Jacob shall not come to an end. In Psalm 89:34, I shall not profane my covenant, neither would I change what has gone out from my lips. You can't get clearer than that. This is written in the Old Testament, both of these. Yahweh says he will not change, he says he will not profane his covenant, and he will not change what has gone out from his lips. What came out of his lips? Make for yourself tassels and put them on the corners of your garment. Then you will get those who will say, but he knows my heart. I'm trying my best. It's okay because he knows my heart. Well, Scripture does not have the best things to say about man's heart. In Proverbs 19:2 it says, also desire without knowledge is not good. He who hurries with his feet sins. So, study the word of Yahweh, get to know him, then you will understand that the desire of Yahweh is for us to obey, not to make excuses. It says in Proverbs 6 verse 14, perverseness is in his heart, plotting evil at all times. He sends out strife. James 2 verse 10 says, for whoever shall guard the Torah, yet stumble in one point, he is guilty of all. Now this is a really, really important point, because if you think you can disobey Yahuwah, not keep his Sabbath, not calling him by his true name, not doing his set-apart feasts, not wearing tzitzits, you've not just failed on one, you've failed on many. But even if you do keep all those, and you do not wear the tzitzits, you stumble on one. Abba's word is there for us to know him. Abba's word is there for us to see the way he wants us to walk. It's our roadmap, it's our sat-nav. In Proverbs 10 verse 8 it says, the wise in his heart accepts commands, but the one with foolish lips falls. Proverbs 6:23 says, for the command is a lamp, and the Torah a light, and reproofs of discipline is a way of life. And this we must understand, that Abba's word is our lamp, and the Torah is our light, and then when we make a mistake, Abba will reprove us. It's that refining fire, making us perfect for him. And it's a way of life, that we will constantly be sharpened and formed, like the potter, when Abba's making his pot, is constantly shaping and pruning us for him. In Malachi 3, verse 16 and 17 we read, then shall those who fear Yahuwah, this is so beautiful, please pay close attention, then shall those who fear Yahuwah speak to one another, and Yahuwah shall listen and hear, and a book of remembrance be written before him, before Yahuwah, of those who fear Yahuwah, and of those who think upon his name. And then Abba says, and they shall be mine, says Yahuwah of hosts. On the day that I prepare a treasured possession, I shall spare them as a man spares his own son who serves him. This is so beautiful. This is a loving father speaking about his children. Abba sitting up there watching us. I couldn't wait. One day when I was working away, I read this verse. Couldn't wait to get home to share it with my wife. That Abba is actually, every time when I get back or when we spend time together around the kitchen table preparing food, we always talk. And we talk about Abba most of the time. And Abba would sit and watch us. And I've kind of experienced a similar thing. My wife has got a friend on the other side of the world, and they text and they hang out or whatever you call it. And I can sit and watch my wife writing to her friend. And when these two girls talk to each other, I can see my wife so happy and smiling. And I can see, because they talk about Abba all the time. Wonderful. Matthew 5 verse 17 to 19. Do not think that I come to destroy the Torah of the prophets. Yahushua is saying, I did not come to destroy, but to complete. He made it perfect. He made it right for us. Verse 18. For truly I say to you, till the heaven and the earth pass away, one jot or one title shall by no means pass from the Torah, till all be done. Nothing is going to be taken out of the Torah till Yahushua's return. Verse 19. Whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men so shall be called least in the reigns of the heavens. But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the reign of the heavens. Yahushua is saying here, he's not changed it, he's come to fulfill it. But even the least of the commands. Now you must remember what I read earlier, that even if you break one, you fail all of them. So even if we perceive tzitzit to be a small aspect or just a small command, it is important enough not to get it wrong. Because if we fail that one, we fail all of them. Listen to Yahushua's words. He says in Yohanan 5 verse 46 and 47, if you believed Moshe, you would have believed me, since he wrote about me. But if you do not believe his writings, how shall you believe my words? What did Moshe write? That we must make the tzitziot. That's the Torah, the first 5 books. And Yahushua said, if you don't believe that, you don't believe him. In Numbers 15 verse 37 to 41, we read, and Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, make tzitziot on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and put a blue cord in the tzitzit of the corners. Can you see? Throughout their generations. That is still going on the generations. Verse 39, and it shall be to you for a tzitzit. Now listen to the purpose of the tzitzit. And you shall see it, and shall remember all the commands of Yahweh, and shall do them, and not search after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you went whoring. Can you see the importance of the tzitziot? It's really important to understand that the power is not in the tzitziot. That is a fabric, but it has a purpose. And Abba says, if you see them, it will remind you. If you obey, the tzitzit will fulfill its purpose to remind you. That is really important, because we have seen that the rabbinical or the Pharisees, Yahushua said to them, they become so long their tzitzits that it becomes a stumbling block for them. That is not the purpose of the tzitzit. The tzitzit is there, that you feel it, that you see it, and that you be reminded of Abba's Torah, so that you will obey. Verse 40, so that you remember and shall do all my commands and be set apart to Elohim. Can you see? We can only be set apart to him. The verse that I read it earlier, that we must be set apart to him only by doing all his commands. Verse 41. I am Yehua your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, to be your Elohim. I am Yehua your Elohim. He said that twice. If he says something twice, better pay attention. Now, just a quick summary on what we've read in this verses, because I interrupted it a bit. these verses say we must make tzitzits on the corners of our garments, throughout our generations, that means everlasting. We must put a blue cord in it, that is a rabbinical law. Beg your pardon, the rabbinical law states only white. I'll get back to that in a minute. So we must put a blue cord in it. The tzitzit is for a reminder for us to do all the commands of Yahweh, and shall do them. Do not search after your own heart. Be set apart to Yahweh. And then Abba says, I am Yahweh your Elohim. I am Yahweh your Elohim. Twice. Really important. Just going back to the point of the rabbinical law that only says white tzitzit. And this is my understanding, that they do not know what the right blue is. Therefore, they reason that rather not to use blue, not to get it wrong. It's a bit strange thinking, because it tells you put a blue cord in it. It does not say a light blue, a dark blue, a navy blue. It says put a blue in it. By not putting a blue in is disobedience. The promise of Yahuwah. Listen to this. Malaki 4 verse 2. But to you who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness, Yahusha, shall arise with healing in his wings. Important. There's a clue. And you shall go out and leap for joy like calves from the stall. Yahusha will rise. This is a prophecy. Yahusha shall rise with healing in his wings. Now, from the concordance, the King James Concordance, wings, it is H3671, and the Hebrew word is kanaf. And if we look at the explanation or the meanings for kanaf, they give wing, extremity, edge, winged, border, corner, shirt wing. So it really points to the edge of your clothing. So that is where we then need to put the, excuse me, I just want to do the page. That's where the tzitzit must go. And this is really important, because we are told to carry wings, or to put the tzitzits on the wings of our clothes, and that Yahusha will come with healing in his wings. Let's see what we read in Matthew 9 from verse 20. And see, a woman who had a flow of blood for 12 years came from behind and touched the tzitzit of his garment, this Yahusha's garment. For she said to herself, if I only touch his garment, I shall be healed. But Yahusha turned, and when she saw her, he said, take courage, daughter, your belief has healed you. And the woman was healed from that hour. Really important to pay attention. I said earlier, the healing is not, or the power is not in the actual tzitzit, because that is just a fabric. The power is in your belief, in your obedience. That you believe that healing comes from Yahusha. Because he says, she believed, if I touch it, I'll be healed. And Yahusha said, your belief healed you. Let's read from Matthew 14, from verse 34. And having passed over, they came to the land of Genezar. And when the men of that place recognized him, they sent out into all the surrounding country, and brought to him all who were sick, and begged him to let them only touch the tzitzit of his garment. And as many touched, it were healed completely. Isn't that just amazing? Through the belief that if they will touch that, they will be healed. They didn't touch other people's tzitzits, Yahusha's, because he comes with healing in his wings. We read in Mark 6 from 53. And having passed over, they came to the land of Genezar and drew to shore. And when they came out of the boat, he was immediately recognized. And all the neighborhood ran about and began to carry about on beds those who were sick to wherever they heard he was. And wherever he went, into villages or cities or the country, they were laying the sick in the marketplaces and begged him to let them touch, if only, the tzitzit of his garment. And as many as touched him were healed. This is so beautiful. So the answer is yes, we do need to wear tzitzits. Yahusha said that he will come back. And he says, who overcome, Yahusha will come with healing in his wings, and he will make all things new for us. And I've read this before in other chats, but I do want to read it again. From Revelation 21, verse 1 to 7. And I saw a renewed heaven and a renewed earth. For the former heaven and the former earth has passed away, and the sea is no more. And I, Yohanan, saw the set apart city, the renewed Jerusalem, coming down out of the heaven from Elohim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the heaven saying, see, the booth of Elohim is with men, and he shall dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them, and be their Elohim. Praise Yah. And Elohim shall wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, nor mourning, nor crying, and there shall be no more pain, for the former matters have passed away. And he who was sitting at the throne said, see, I make all matters new. And he said to me, write these words, for these words are true and trustworthy. And he said to me, it is done. I am the Aleph and the Tau, the beginning and the end. The one who thirsts, I shall give from the fountain of the water of life without payment. The one who overcomes shall inherit all this, and I shall be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. Praise Yah. Baruch haba b'shem Yehua. Adele is going to show you how to make tzitzits, and if you so wish, you can email us, and we will send you tzitzits free of charge. Only we ask you to pay for the postage. Shalom, from a little coffee and a lot of Yehua.